We're going to have a little noise here today, but hopefully it won't be so bad or so loud. We were talking about yesterday about the commandment that Kadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe that he should go and borrow gold and jewelry and fineries from the Egyptians. And the question is really, what is it necessary? What is it for? What is it for? I mean, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants him to come up with money. Leave the issue of like, you owe me, you pay me, you this, you that. That's irrelevant. I mean, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if you want him to be rich, say, guys, there's a mine over there. Go dig up everything you want. I'll give you all the gold. I'll give you all the money. Everything is yours. What do I need this for? What do I need? Why do you need to go and tell the Jews? And not only he tells them, go and do it. It says, Sim be'oznei b'nei Israel. Put it in their ears. I mean, what do you mean put it in the ear? Put what I'm telling you in the ears. Don't say to them, just Sim be'oznei b'nei Israel. What does it mean? Let me explain you what it means, if I may. I heard a story about a woman who she was young, and she got married young, and the husband was extremely abusive, both verbally and emotionally. He didn't beat her up, but he was extremely verbally abusive and emotionally abusive. She went through hell. It was really bad. It was so bad that they divorced. Eventually they divorced. She went her way, he went his way, and she became a very, very successful businesswoman. Banking, finance, real success story, achieved a lot. And things went okay for her. One day in the street, about 25 years after that, she met her former husband, her ex. And at that moment, when she saw him, she went back to this person who was crushed and squashed and demolished. It's like nothing ever happened. She went back to who she was before when she met that oppressor. The question is, why is this? What happened here? Every time you have somebody who oppresses you and puts you down and try to catch you at the knees, as they say, it develops a certain dynamics into the relationship. And there is only one way to deal with it. And the way to deal with it is not just to go to therapy and to say, I felt this and so on and so forth. If you really want to deal with it, you need to stand in front of the person, or learn how to stand in front of the person who oppressed you and tell him, listen, you did this to me, you did that to me, and I resent it, and so on and so forth. To face that person, to demand what is that you deserve. I deserve to be treated with respect. I deserve to be not to be talked like that. I deserve this, and so on and so forth. To be able to say it. What HaKadosh Baruch Hu is trying to do to Am Yisrael here is something very strange. It's something very interesting. What HaKadosh Baruch Hu is trying to do to Bnei Israel is, we say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yatzanu mimitzrayim. Bnei Israel yatzu mimitzrayim. Bnei Israel left Egypt. Physically they left Egypt. Physically. However, how do you go emotionally out of Egypt? You never go emotionally out of Egypt. You have, in order to do so, you need to do what? Make sure that not to be motzi b'nei Israel mi Mitzrayim, to let the Jews out of Egypt. When it comes to the emotional and to the spiritual and to that aspect, you need to take Mitzrayim out of the Jews. And the only way you take Mitzrayim out of the Jews is if you be able to stand in front of them and face and say, listen, stop doing this. And I deserve, whether it's treated and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, throughout history, we were able many times to get out of abusive relationship with the nations. However, we were rarely able to stand and be able to take the nations out of us. It's like this, they call it the Stockholm Syndrome. When you develop a dependency on your captors. You start to associate yourself with your captors, with those who it's a famous case that there were hostages taken, and then they associate themselves, the people who were kidnapped, with those terrorists or kidnapped them. You develop a dependency on your abuser. A woman who is beaten up and being physically abused will go to the shelters, and many times will find a reason to go back to her abuser. She does not have the tools to be able to stand and say, listen, cut this out, I'm calling the police and I'm following this all the way through, and so on and so forth. It's an abusive relationship. And to Am Yisrael, until today, we have an abusive relationship with the nations. I remember one time I heard Ben Gurion says, I don't care what the Goyim will say, I care what the Jews will do. You need to understand that you need to, as a nation, if you're calling yourself a nation, you have to do what's good for you. And if you have a state, a country, you have to do what's good for your people. Stop thinking about what the European will say and what this one would say and the other one would say. If you're a sovereign country and you are free in your country, you have to act like that. However, we don't do that. We're always wondering what this one would say, what the other one would say, and so on and so forth. Therefore, you are not doing, as a leader, what's good for your people. You're doing what's good for other people. But who put you in power? We were never able to take Egypt out of us. Physically, we came out of Egypt. Emotionally, we're still stuck in that. There were very few times that we were able to do that. The Hashmonaim did it. The time of David HaMelech, when they had expanded the kingdom, they were able to do so. A certain short segment during the establishment of the State of Israel, they were able to do that. But soon after, they fell into chaos again. And when everything is like, what they will say, oh, we can't do this. They get angry at us. Oh, we can't do this. All right? When Israel is being bombarded with thousands of rockets a day, Israel has to be apologetic when they take matter to their own hands. They say, listen, stop with this. This is my abuser. I'm going to cut you down. Oh, no, you have to show restraint. Really? I want to see that bright light that tells Israel to show restraint when it's being abused. I want to see that person telling a beaten woman to show restraint when she's being abused. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, go, face the Egyptians. Face the Egyptians. Tell them, give me your stuff. I want your stuff. I'm not robbing you. You're going to give it to me. You're going to give it to me because I worked for you for 210 years in slavery and you got me nothing. I did not come here as a slave. You turned me into that. You need to pay me. I'm a free person. You need to pay me. Israel didn't do that. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Habibi, we're going to have here a cry for generations. And you see right away, that's what happens. Oh, we want to go back. We want to go back to our masters. Right? When they come back and cry, Mitzrayim, give us, we want food, it was so good. What do you mean it was good that they were killing your babies? They were abusing you. You were slaves. Oh, it was so good there. We ate fish, we had watermelon, we had feasts. This is a syndrome of an abused nation. And unless you're going to be able to fear that, you're not going to do it. However, you should know, you're never going to be free. However, you should know that sometimes you do it to yourself as well. Sometimes you abuse yourself as well. And you are not willing to stand in front of yourself and say, enough is enough. I'm taking things to my hands, taking matters in my own hands. I need to stop and I need to do so. Why am I doing what I'm doing? It does not make sense. I'm abusing myself. Sometimes you abuse yourself. And every time you abuse yourself, you can't even face yourself and you feel bad. And it's a downfall from there. And you're never free. You become a captive of your own abuse. And that is something that you have to remember. It's not just about Bnei Israel leaving Mitzrayim, coming out of Mitzrayim. It's about taking Mitzrayim out of the heart of the Jews. Shabbat Shalom.